And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the pop culture cosmos, game source, inside sports, fantasy football, and the Lakers fast break. We truly appreciate you catching all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you could subscribe, share, do whatever it is you can to support us because we really could use all the help we can get. Whether you're watching our videos, whether you're listening to our audio, listening to us on the radio, whatever you're doing, please help us out because we sure could use your support and would be greatly appreciated by all of us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my compadre in crime for Friday. And she is back. After handing the reins over to her hubby, she is back to gloat and pat herself on the back once again. It is an individual you can catch every time she graces the Vampires at Vitae Hemisphere, and also Wizards and Wine, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, all that great stuff that she's doing. It is Melinda Barkhouse-Ross. And Melinda, great to have you here. How's the move going?
It's going really well. Oh God, it's terrible. I hate moving. Why must we do this to ourselves? But no, it's going fine. All things considered. We just fell into stuff that so many other people have experienced since COVID, really, and that's the rent eviction. So that's kind of what we ran into, and it turned into oh my God, in 30 days we're possibly in trouble. But we found a spot, and it's got a fantastic spot for gaming that we already have set up. Well, not already set up, but that we already have plans for. In my head, it has really cool lighting and all that kind of thing. So we'll see. We're excited for the change. We're taking it. We're taking it, and we're looking at the silver lining of the whole thing. It's just an opportunity to grow and reassess really a lot of what we do in terms of the podcast and everything, and because it's going to impact quite a bit, I think. But we're really excited.
Interesting.
Yeah, we got big plans coming.
Absolutely. And I'm wishing you two all the best. And you let me know if you need anything. And again, anything that we can do to support what you're doing at Vampires of Vitae, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and Wizards and Wine, we would love to do it. So with that said, you and I have got a lot to talk about today because there's a lot of anniversaries we're going to be talking about. Let's start off with Retro City Games, our good friends at Retro City Games, because they've been a great supporter of ours for our entire time since 2016. But as we are 8 years old doing this show, Retro City Games is a little bit older. They actually start their 10th anniversary this weekend. So they've got a bunch of specials. So Melinda, if you want to add to that new space some games, you could start off on this Saturday. Just to let everyone know, it's 10-day celebration, I believe is what they're saying. I know that at least the weekend to start off with, they've got 2 for $5. It's 2 games for $5. As far as they got a huge selection. They were the first ones really in town to advertise and promote that. And that's really been a backbone of what they've been all about. A lot of people have got a lot of great old games for cheap from them. So definitely looking forward to seeing what they do to celebrate. And hopefully we can celebrate, since this is episode 399, hope for the PC Multiverse. Hopefully we can celebrate a number 500 there as well.
That would be amazing. That would be so fun.
Yes, that's what my plans are per se. So I haven't laid my evil plans on them yet, but if they're hearing this, they will be knowing that. But sometime in the future, I figured it's like 80 weeks for the Pop Culture Cosmos, so I think I could not have to pop it on them yet.
Was it episode 400 or episode 500 that we agreed that we were all going to get tattoos?
500. I know
500.
Okay. if you do 500 on one of the shows, I think you've earned it by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will say again, it truly a blessed Retro City Games 10th anniversary. And again, if
Mm.
you're in the Clark County area in Las Vegas, there's a lot of Clark counties I found out over the course of the United States. But if you're in the Clark County for Las Vegas and Henderson, they've got two great locations. They're doing a lot of great things, but please go ahead and check out for the latest updates, Retro City Games on Facebook. They have a lot of pictures of all the stuff that they sell out there, plus a lot of their great deals that they mentioned right there for Retro City Games. So happy 10th anniversary. I know I'm going to stop by during it just to wish them well. And hopefully we can do more in the future with our friends at Retro City Games. But there's so much to talk about on today's show. I wanted to go ahead and mention more anniversaries coming up for PlayStation 5 and The Matrix. I want to go ahead and mention those during the course of the show. Marvel versus DC, Melinda, one more time. And there's new movies coming out, and we'll talk about that on the show as well. But first, I want to reflect on the Emmys. So Melinda can gloat. I can feel I can see the glow
Yeah.
that's already emanating from
Yeah.
you when we talk about the Emmys, because
Yeah.
not only did your one of your favorite series of the year get almost all the Emmys, Power
Uh-huh.
One, you called it. You called it back last year when you saw it about a certain Netflix animation. And Geek Week and if we have time, I will discuss Netflix Geek Week about some of the stuff that they announced. Otherwise, I'll do it on Monday with Josh. But Netflix Geek Week, a lot of their animation from their studios seems the same,
Sure.
looks the same. It's
Yeah.
very cookie cutterish. They've got a ton of video game animated adaptations that they've got coming on the way. Devil May Cry, Tomb Raider, among others. And it looks all the same until you get stuff like Arcane,
Yeah.
which was very highly rated, Emmy nominated, and also one of the best looking animated series. But there was something even better that you and I found out, and
Yeah.
you and I looked at, and you told me about on this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Sure
You
did.
said I better go see it, and I
Uh-huh.
better watch it, and I
Uh-huh.
did, and I have my thoughts that I shared on the show, and it was end up being both of ours best of pop culture as far as in that mix for 2023.
Yeah.
Blue-Eye Samurai. So,
Dude, it is so good. Been
well, I
saying
will
that.
tell you.
Been saying that for what feels like my entire life. The show is so good. Go and watch it if you haven't. What are you thinking if you haven't?
It is an outstanding show. Again,
Oh
you and
my
I
gosh.
had nothing but great things to say about it. I had some little tweaks I would have liked to made, but otherwise, again, it was simply outstanding. The animation style was not one of those things that trick. It's absolutely stunning. Some of the
Yeah.
best animation I've ever seen on television. And you could pat yourself on the back because of the Creative Arts Emmys, the Emmys that they run before the Emmys.
Right.
It won Best Animated Series. Your thoughts on Blue-Eye Samurai?
It's not often, Gerald, that I get to say that I was, in fact, right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes a little minute. It takes a minute for me to
Well,
become convinced.
you and I were the first to talk about Squid Game. I
We
think.
were, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like it doesn't happen often, but when I make a call like that, I'm usually pretty bang on. It was like that when I was a music director in radio. I would hear a song and I'd be like, yeah, that's gonna be. We need to add that right away. Just put it into heavy rotation because it's a hit.
Mhm.
And I once in a while have that ability with television shows, and I'm just thrilled for Blue-Eyed Samurai. I'm so excited for all of that success. I've watched some of the behind the scenes stuff of how they put the show together and the things that they did to make the fight scenes look amazing. Stuff like that. Just phenomenal. You can tell that they really genuinely loved the project. And I mean loved the project. There was so much care, and yeah, no, so good. If you haven't watched it yet, please, please, I am begging you, I am imploring you, please go watch it.
I mean, and now they attach Emmy winner because it is an Emmy winner. So,
Yeah.
Melinda, you did it. I'm giving you all the credit for jumping on the Blue-Eyed Samurai bandwagon first and foremost. We were among the first, like I said, to give the call on Squid Game, but you get all the credit on Blue-Eyed Samurai. But I think together we get the credit for Shogun, as
Yeah.
we talked about Shogun when it first debuted and
Mhm.
throughout. And even though I still have problems with the last one, I said it's still 9 fantastic episodes for
Oh
me,
man. Yeah.
among the best in television this year.
Yeah.
I know it's 10 episodes, everyone, but the 10th episode I like to just leave out. But
Yes.
you and I absolutely were thrilled when we saw the number of nominations, 28 nominations, I believe 18 Emmys
Gosh,
overall, as
I
far
think
as the,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, much more than The Bear got for its season 2, which was 11, which was second place. So, yeah, just absolutely a fantastic showing. Uh, Hiroyuki Sanada-san got his Best Actor, and I would have just gone. I would have done a Melinda where I would have protested outside the Emmys building, wherever they have the count the nominations, all that. If
Yeah.
Anna Sawai didn't win, because she was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
She absolutely killed it, and one of the best performances, male or female, on television in the past few years. And she did end up winning Best Actor. Your thoughts on Shogun?
Yeah, it's so pleasing when you see good television rewarded like that.
Mhm.
Because so often, you watch the Emmys and you're like, yeah,
Tokyo
I mean,
Vice.
yeah, like it's fine, but there were better things out there than the show that won all of those awards. And I don't think that you can say that when it comes to Shogun this year. I think that it's that level of entertainment that they delivered on, and they were relentless with it. Like you said, it's 9 solid episodes if you do have a problem with the 10th, but it yeah, it's really good. And I hope that they begin to see and understand that that's the level of TV that's going to bring that large of an audience to that kind of to your channel, to your programming, to your service, whatever, however you want to look at
Mhm.
it. So yeah, it would just be really nice if they would start to take note of things like that. But I also understand that not every show can be a Shogun, because then Shogun wouldn't be Shogun anymore.
Well, the problem is now, as we talked about briefly, but I'll bring it up again, is with Shogun, they essentially finished the book
Yeah.
in that season 1 series. But guess what? It was supposed to be a limited series, but it got switched over to Best Drama
Yeah.
because they're coming up with a season 2.
Yeah.
What in the world are they doing, and where would they go from here? And do you think it'll spoil your good feelings with season 2? Because
Uh
it's now being made off of scratch from
yeah.
here on out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we have all been traumatized by television shows who have decided
I
to
am
go off
nervous,
book. Yeah. Yeah. But but
but
I'm going to choose to trust the people involved.
okay.
I think that they showed us through that first season how much they actually do love the property, and how much they really do feel that delivering an authentic, really great experience to their audience is important. And
Mhm.
as long as they keep that kind of front and center, and then they tell a really fantastic, politically intriguing uh story like they did in the last one, I don't think that they can miss. Um but I understand everybody being very nervous about that because who isn't? We've been abused by this kind of stuff happening before. So this time, gosh darn it, I'm going to choose to remain positive, I think.
Okay. You and I've watched a lot of television,
Mhm.
so I'm getting
I
into
know.
my Lakers fast break deal where I am the realist among people
Oh,
that are say people just say because you put on the purple and gold, oh yeah, they're gonna win the championship this year. And then I have to say,
mhm.
hold on, wait a second, let me see
Yeah,
this from the landscape. I'm gonna bring on the realism here and say, you know what, we've seen Hollywood send things astray like this when they have something really successful. I'm nervous about Severance season 2, and I'm definitely nervous about Shogun season 2
sure.
because they're going into, especially with Shogun, just a place an area where they're expounding the bounds and expanding the bounds of the boundaries actually of what they were meant to do, what the book meant to do, and now it's going into the world. You're creating, possibly new characters out of this to try and tell the story that you want to tell. So
Yeah.
I am nervous to say the least, and but realistic about whether or not it can reach those same heights or get anywhere close. Plus the fact that you don't have Anna Sawai anymore because her character slightly dead. So without one of your main stars going forward, you're going to have more people or a new individual come in and step up to the plate.
Yeah, for sure. She really did carry a lot when you stop and like I stop and I think back and I'm like, yeah, yeah, she's very
Because
involved. But I mean, that does
Hiroki Sanada was not there on screen for
long
chunks at a
time.
time. Yeah,
Yeah,
and still got the award. But
yeah,
Anna Sawai was reliant as the interpreter
yeah,
slash love interest slash main character because of how she fit into the roles and how
yeah,
special she became both on and off the show to viewers and everybody related in the show, her, as far as it's concerned.
yeah. No, I agree. It's going to be tough, but it does give them an opportunity to find us another really interesting, compelling character to follow.
All right,
I
well,
think
no,
I have fingers crossed.
fingers are crossed indeed. But what are your thoughts out there on the Emmys and the aftermath? Belinda and I have really enjoyed the fact that she and I are justified in two shows we absolutely love: Blue-Eye Samurai, Shogun. I enjoyed the Bear season 2. I think that is still the best season to date. It didn't get as many awards as I thought it would, but still 11. You can't go home unhappy with that. But what are
Yeah.
your thoughts out there on the Emmys? Please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program. Remember back in the past decade? See, you have the etiquette to blow your nose on mute, and I didn't before we went on the show because I didn't know you were there. So see how that is.
That's really funny.
Yes, but uh, it was last decade for a great part of the decade. It was DC versus Marvel. It was like,
Mhm.
oh, which side are you on? Which side do you have to be? Do you
Yeah.
have to go ahead and see the Snyderverse as it plays out? Or will Kevin Feige's vision of a connected universe pay off? Well, we all know what happened in the previous decade from Marvel and DC. So we thought after both in the earlier part of this decade were kind of having their troubles, just to
Mhm.
say, is that the nicest way to say it? Because a lot
I
of
think
people have
so.
said a lot worse about
Yeah.
that. And
I think it's a fine. You can put it that way. I think that's fine.
okay, because
Yeah.
they really did have their troubles. And
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some expletives thrown out there in regards to some of the stuff that's been put out there by Marvel and DC the earlier part of this decade. With that said, I thought maybe Marvel versus DC was going to be a thing in the past gone by, but lo and behold, 2024, we've got another battle, Melinda. It is back again, although not quite to the lengths that it once was. It is still Marvel versus DC, as HBO or Max or HBO Max or HBO or whatever the hell they want to call it this week, because they keep changing the names and yeah, figuring out what they want to do. But
Yeah, they keep changing the name and jacking up the price. It's not fair.
yeah, exactly. In case of Disney, they keep jacking up the price unless they get into a disagreement with
Mm,
DirecTV, and
yeah.
then they kind of like make a deal there for those people. But yeah, outside of that, they kind of jack up the price too. But both these companies have brought out this week their own TV series set in the DC and Marvel universes, with The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell, versus Agatha All Along, starring Catherine Hahn. I've not seen The Penguin as of yet. I have seen the first couple episodes of Agatha All Along, but I was curious to hear your thoughts. It is 2024, Melinda, and we have a DC versus Marvel matchup once again.
I suppose it depends on what you're looking for out of your comic book show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are you looking for witchy, fantastical goodness? Because that's Agatha is going to serve that for days, honestly. And the whole Witches Road storyline and stuff that you keep seeing in the trailers, it looks interesting. I haven't watched any of it yet. Robbie's been working crazy hours, and I don't want to watch great TV without him, because what would we talk about? Um, but when you switch over to the Penguin, and that is going to be, what you expect from DC. It's going to be a little bit grittier. It's going to be, you know,
It's
maybe not
based
as,
it's based in the world of the Batman movie that came out a couple years ago,
yeah.
and just leading after the events of that movie.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. That feels like a bridge to something coming on the other side. And so that alone, if you're at all interested in what they're going to be able to do with the DC universe when things start to kick off here, that this series could be the bridge that gets us into this new thing. So it does feel like something that you should probably watch, just in case.
It
But
is
Agatha feels like something you should legitimately go ahead and watch. Do you know what I mean?
yes, but the thing is, I was not super excited about Agatha All Along, but I know
Right.
I have a ton of respect for Catherine Hahn, because I don't know if you remember our conversations on WandaVision. It was very much an up and down
Yeah.
experience for me. So I like the creativity and the basis off the different shows
Yeah.
from different time frames, and then them paying the homage and creating a story there. Depending on which episode it was, it to me was either good nor bad. And then you got into her character, which absolutely killed it. Was one of the best parts of WandaVision,
Yeah.
and they realized that. I think the Agatha All Along hitting number one on the Apple's charts, audio charts, was, I think, a helpful on that.
Yeah.
But this series, again, I watched the first couple episodes, and I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, but the
Okay, good.
road, you mentioned the road, and that does come into it as far as the creation of a covenant if they go down the road. Uh, but it is Catherine Hahn's show. It is the Catherine Hahn experience. And if you appreciated her character before and how she just, ate up every scene in
Yeah.
WandaVision, she does pretty much essentially the same thing here. This series is very reliant on her. The only scenes where you could say that she's given any kind of relief is when she's on those scenes with Aubrey Plaza,
Right.
who is becoming a star in her own right, and she's very good. And you can tell that those two are on a similar level as far as just their abilities and whatnot. So and importance. But Aubrey is only in a few scenes as of now, so we'll see down the road how she will fare. But yeah, the first two episodes are in it, and I've got actually a more positive outlook on it than I did before.
Oh, good. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah, just really, really like what I see so far. And with the Penguin, I've not been able to see that yet, but it is, like you said, detailing the gritty underworld battle
Mm,
for control after the events of the Batman and uh, Carmen Falcone, uh, obviously dying. John was it, actually, yeah, from the Batman, the character dying, and the Penguin trying to seize the control of the underworld away from Falcon's daughter, who I believe she has a strong role, and she has been praised. I got to see it just for her role because she has been praised even more than Colin Farrell, who totally disguises his voice once again in the role of the Penguin. So yeah, definitely something very interesting to see. Two very different tellings. But the one thing I want to lead with you before we head to the break is with Agatha All Along. Supposedly this is supposed to play in the larger universe, and one of the criticisms I've had of of the television shows from Marvel, especially in this decade, is that they don't play into a larger theme. They
mm.
don't tie into something bigger, especially with Secret Wars and Avengers 5 and 6 coming down the road. It's going to have to do that, but I don't see how it is as of yet. That's the thing I want to ask is the tie-ins to a larger Marvel universe.
Honestly, I think that that's key. That's so important for all of these shows and for the movies too, I think.
Mm.
And I think that that's why Shield was so important to Marvel back when, because I think that you would have a movie premiere on the weekend, and then that Monday night show would be something that happened directly following that movie. Like that is intense planning in terms of storytelling, and I think that is really what made it so intriguing and made it so you couldn't miss an episode. You had to go when the movie, as soon as the movie came out. If you could get a pre-screening, even better. Like, I think that it just added to that sense of, being in the know and being in the community and knowing what's happening and being part of that whole experience. I think that those my goodness, the TV shows tying into the movies, I think is incredibly important. Bonus, if they could somehow make it tie back to the comics, that would be even bigger. I'm sure they probably have. I'm not the smartest person in the world, so somebody much smarter than me has thought of that, I'm sure.
Uh,
Sorry. That was the whole thought. I'm really sorry.
no, you're all good, my friend. All good. Way to pep yourself up there. But once again, it is Melinda Barkhouse-Ross. But yes, please let us know your thoughts on this. Technically, it's a battle between Marvel and DC, but
Yeah.
again, it's competing shows as the Penguin debuts this week or has debuted this week on HBO Max, HBO, whatever it is, and also Agatha All Along on Disney Plus. Share us your thoughts on which you are going to see. You're going to see both, and which do you think you'll like better? Please let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, one half hour down, one half hour to go here on the PC Multiverse. It is Melinda Barkhouse-Ross, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. All right, Miss PlayStation. All right.
Uh-huh.
You can also, again, gloat and say everything's good, everything's fine, even though those PlayStation 5 Pro people are just PlayStation 5 Pro, just the crowd talking about the price.
Yeah.
700, 800. Well, I've discussed this with you before as far as how expensive this can be with all the paraphernalia if you wanted to go ahead and get that. But they're trying to sweeten the deal, at least in the limited sense, because they are releasing, and you said you caught this, 30th anniversary PlayStation 5 consoles and PlayStation 5 Pro consoles
Yeah.
coming out on a little limited basis. And also controllers as well. Actually, their whole line of peripherals outside of PSVR 2 is coming out in a PlayStation 30th anniversary theme. And these are going to go, these are going to sell. They kind of like, hedged their bets when they announced it. So they figured, what else is going to be able to spice up a possibly lukewarm reception to PlayStation consoles? They're making some special 30th anniversary PlayStation 5 consoles and PlayStation 5 Pro consoles. They've conveniently, as of this airing, left out the price. And in the case of the PlayStation 5 Pro consoles, you got to be ready to fork down some money because pre-ordering starts here, I believe, on the 26th.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on getting back to what they once did with the PlayStation 1 design of the PlayStation 5 consoles, PlayStation 5 Pro, and peripherals, because it worked for them before for their 20th anniversary with the PlayStation 4. I have a feeling it's going to work for them again.
Yeah, nostalgia is an incredibly powerful thing. That's why we see it so much. So yeah, if you go retro with something, you really can't miss. Honestly, I think it makes sense. I think it's just smart marketing. Their people at PlayStation aren't really dummies. They just don't know how to price things properly. What? What are they thinking?
It's crazy.
Yeah. What? Why? Truly. Because that somebody on Etsy is going to put together the covers and the little middle panel so you can just put it on the one that you already have that you didn't pay $700 or $800 for. Like, I don't get it myself personally. But you know what, though, I consider myself like a casual video game fan. I don't play all the time. I don't play every day. I get into moods and I'll play for like 3 months, it's steady, and then I won't touch it again for months. So for me, justifying an $800 console, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But let me contradict myself. If you're somebody who is, I don't know, let's say trying to do some Twitch stuff, you're trying to build yourself a little channel on Twitch, maybe it makes more sense to have a beefier PlayStation like that. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but that price point is scary. Truly.
It's very intimidating. I did it once before, back when it was PlayStation 3, 60 gig, and I didn't feel I got my money's worth, to be honest with you. And I'm afraid to do that again. It's just for a game console. I mean, I need to better allocate my funds or save my funds towards a better computer. Basic necessities, things of that nature. Spending that kind of money, having the ancillary type of money to do something like that, that's just wow. For this, I wouldn't even, if I got a chance to get the PlayStation 5 Pro console, especially because that is definitely going to be a limited, I think it's under 15,000 units will be sold or will be made. That's something I wouldn't even open just based off the collector's market. Like I got a hold of Concord. I was saying it last week. I've got it here sealed. So if it does go up, I'm ready. I'm not even going to be able to use it if I buy it because it's going to be a collector's item for me. And that's a lot of money right now in today's society, in today's market, and today's economy, just to make it a collector's item.
Absolutely. But at the same time, Gerald, it's entirely possible that we just have to face the facts that maybe we're not the target audience for this one.
I'm still trying to figure out who is.
Well, I mean, somebody out there is, because think about the same people who, and please, I'm not, because I am the same people. But the same people who will do things like as soon as the newest version of the Samsung TV comes out, they've got to go and upgrade their TV to get the latest.
Well,
When,
that's what
you
you're
know,
gonna need to do to really
to be able to
use
even,
the PS5 Pro. I
yeah,
mean, I was talking about this with the Super BS Gamescast. Not only do you have to worry about, the price tag for the system, and we're talking going back to the basic system, not the PS5 Pro, the 30th anniversary one, because that's going to be expensive and people are going to get it just because it's special. But
sure.
for the PS5 Pro that's coming out on November 7th to the regular one, you've got to have, first of all, if you want the stand for it, that's an extra charge.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the stand does come with the 30th anniversary PlayStation 5 console,
Oh,
but
that's nice.
not the regular one. Gosh, you had to pay extra. That's $30. If you
Yeah.
want the disc drive to play Blu-ray discs, that's going to cost you $80. And then, it's just the fact is, do you have even a TV to support it properly because of
Right.
the, backlighting, as far as ray tracing, AI, as
Yeah.
far as the GPU that's going to help improve the graphics performance, all that
Ugh.
stuff, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So your backgrounds are better, so your highlights are better, so your reflections are better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's great and all, Melinda, but do you have even a TV to support it? And if not, you have to upgrade that too.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a time though where we all had to do that, where finally the console was like, I cannot continue to be playing on this TV that you got rabbit ears hooked up to wrapped in tinfoil. There was a point where we all had to give that up in order to be able to continue to play on these new gen consoles. So, and I think we're just at a point where technology is going to evolve that quickly and that fast, that we're going to have to almost feel like we're constantly upgrading in order to be able to. And I'm not even saying keep up with the Joneses. I just mean be able to keep up with everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I am intrigued as far as the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th anniversary edition because of the fact that it is very attractive, but also not the price, that's for sure. But it looks really good. It's something that I think was well done. PlayStation got it right a few years ago with the PlayStation 4 when they made that for the 20th anniversary. And so the
Mm.
30th anniversary, I'm going to be very interested to see if they follow up on it just the same. But yes, that's all the peripherals that they're doing as far as the PlayStation 5 peripherals. They're all creating outside of the PSVR 2, they're all creating and have a PlayStation 30th anniversary option. So if you're interested, you don't have to necessarily buy the PS5 Pro. You don't necessarily have to buy a PlayStation 5 30th anniversary. You can just get a controller or you can get one of the other peripherals that they're selling
Mm.
as well. So check by the PlayStation Store in the coming days to find out more if you're interested. But if you have thoughts on PlayStation hitting its 30th anniversary with some PlayStation 5 and its accessories in a 30th anniversary motif modeled after the PlayStation 1, please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still a little bit to talk about on the way out. The movies this week that come out in the midst of the success of Beetlejuice, which I had recently suggested that, with all that said and done, I know Michael Keaton Douglas has said that he didn't think there was going to be another one. Well, $200 million later, you never know.
Yeah.
So,
There's probably going to be another one.
yeah, it's one of the
Yeah.
biggest September movies of all time. So, and we'll talk about another big September movie that's coming that came out 25 years ago here in a little bit. But the movies that are coming out this weekend, a little bit different. Transformers 1, an animated movie, getting back to its, kind of its roots, because
Hmm.
how did it really generate? It was the animated series, watching every afternoon, and the Transformers more than meets the eye. That song came from the jingle at the start of every Transformers episode,
Yep.
and which sold the
Roll out.
toys, and the
Yeah.
toys sold the show, and the
Oh,
show sold
man.
the yeah.
Yeah.
So all that, it is coming back to a film, animated film, coming up here this weekend with Brian Tyree Henry and Chris Hemsworth playing the lead roles. For Chris, I don't know how well this movie will do,
Mm.
but I will say maybe Chris, after the failure of Furiosa, which again, it's not a bad movie, but it had a bad performance, unfortunately for him. Hopefully, can get back off the schneid with this movie, but kind of weird placement for an animated film, which you would want kids to see because it's in the middle of the school season. There's no holiday in sight right now. I understand Transformers, the brand, has really done well internationally with the live action movies, but this is an awkward date for release for any type of Transformers movie, especially one that's animated in Transformers 1.
Yeah, it's an odd decision,
Mhm.
um, especially after, I mean, yeah. No, it's odd. I don't understand the thinking behind that one, but you know what? Maybe the nostalgia that we spoke of just a few minutes ago is enough. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Well, we were, a little bit apprehensive last year at Christmas time when a rom-com came out
Mhm.
that I had said, why are they putting it out here? Why don't they put it out in Valentine's? Well, it had enough legs
Yeah.
to go and really do well enough as far as the concerned. So as far as the movie itself, and it did well enough until so where it was still and I'm talking about anyone but you,
Mhm.
a movie that did make money even as far as Valentine's Day is concerned. So Transformers 1 is again a movie that can do well, but there are other animated movies on the way as well. So I don't know. I just is very curious why they put it here. Do they have not enough faith in the film? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm very curious as to why. I would love to talk to like a executive on why they did what they did when they did.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't, sometimes it just doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to what
Mhm.
they're up to. Sometimes the decisions make you scratch your head, and then every once in a while they just randomly hit on something, it seems. So maybe they're not expecting it to do well, so they've put it in a weird position, hoping that maybe it'll just work. I don't know.
Because the thing is, later this month, in a week's time,
Right.
guess what's coming out?
Mm.
The Wild Robot with
Oh,
Lupita Nyong'o and Pedro Pascal. That is an animated movie that a lot of people are interested in because it's actually got advanced reviews that are somewhat positive as well. So
yeah.
yeah, just very interesting time to be releasing animated movies. So we'll see what happens with both The Wild Robot and Transformers 1. But Transformers 1 may have to sell itself on the fact that it Transformers brand does well internationally, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot will be doing in successive weeks as it's being released here in the States. But please let us know your thoughts if you're seeing either or both of these animated films, Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But before we head on out, my friend, there's another movie that comes out this week, a limited release, but it's going to be expanding to a wide release here in a little bit. And it's a comeback film for Demi Moore because she has received much praise for a very interesting, very weird, very engrossing movie entitled The Substance. I know you cannot see this film because it is a movie that tinges quite greatly on horror.
Yeah.
And it's not the type of scare horror. This is like a lot of blood.
Oh, like it's like a
Or
slasher flick?
I mean, from what I'm assuming that there's going to be a violent end, because that's where the trailer leads you up to believing. But it's more of the fact, okay, here's the pitch that I can tell people out there based on the trailers. It's based
Mm,
off Demi Moore is a superstar. She is a superstar as far as her training, her fitness. She has, as far as really over the course of decades become like a staple in as far as the media community, as far as her exploits, as far as then I guess exercise, being fit, things of that nature. But now she's in her 60s, so she's losing some of that aura and losing some of that effectiveness. And her and I think I could just say that as far as the opening scene, where it's her made up walk star on the Walk of Fame for
right.
her character, and it begins to fade, and as the star begins to fade, her star begins to fade, and she
Oh,
wants to recapture that, because the reason why is Dennis Quaid, who is also being given a lot of praise for it, as a smarmy, disgusting Hollywood executive. And gee, uh, there ain't none of those out there, are there?
yeah, no, none.
No,
Definitely
no,
not. No,
no,
no, no,
no, no,
no.
no, I guess not.
Yeah, and
But
none are
yes,
facing new charges either, so that's great.
yes.
Yeah,
But he wants to a young, well, of course, like every Hollywood
sure.
executive that we've ever heard of. Uh, I'm just kidding when I say that, but
Of
he
course.
wants a younger, more attractive uh, woman in the role as far as
Yeah,
doing that's concerned. So she is like very nervous, and trying to save her spot, reaches out and finds out about the substance. I don't want to go into details about what it's called and what it does, but basically, it once you take it, she is allowed to go ahead and I guess what happens, a transformation happens, and a younger her pops out. Margaret Qualley, I think, is the actress's name, who's also getting a ton of praise. This is a very much actor-driven performance, but the
good.
horror in the is the blood and the guts
Right.
that you see as far as the transformation from one to other, because they physically have to do things that are very gross to a lot of people in order to become that. Because I guess once you become the younger self,
Right.
you can only be that for 7 days while the other one is incapacitated. So, and then vice versa, and they go back, and there's a certain things you have to do in a certain order, in a certain way. And if you don't, all things go to bleep. And if
Right.
that's the case, as we see in this film, all things go to bleep.
Naturally.
Yes, and that's where the violence and all that stuff comes in, as far as it's concerned, on the blood and all that. But it is really catching the eye. I think it won the Palme d'Or. I think it's one of the I don't know if it was really highly acclaimed at Cannes, and it is really, I've seen so far nothing but praise, especially for the movie, the director, the stars, but especially Demi Moore. Your thoughts on the substance as a comeback vehicle for Demi Moore?
Well, it sounds like it's definitely gonna have people talking. And you know what though? It might not be a bad enough horror movie for me to avoid. It sounds actually like it might be a bit of an interesting premise.
It is a very interesting time, and it has a
Wouldn't it
lot of,
be sorry.
well, I was gonna say it has a lot. It has an '80s feel because it's got
Mm,
the leg warmers. I don't know if you've seen the trailer, but she has the leg warmers on from like the '80s style of stuff, and it has an '80s type feel on top of it, and yeah, it just looks like something that's going to be weird. And if I can stomach through it, I'm really gonna like what I see.
now I know that the movie that I'm about to talk about was a comedy, but I feel like the substance is a big part of that movie. Because I don't remember if they actually named what that potion was in Death Becomes Her.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
right? So they
Yep,
had that vial. To me, that's the substance. So this is like the horror version of that.
I saw that film. Yeah, the only
Yeah,
thing is they couldn't make that gross because A, they wanted to keep a rating,
yeah,
and B, the special effects were just so hilarious that it
yeah.
just made yeah, not they weren't that great, but, it ended up, they looking like Play-Doh,
Oh man,
basically what happens. Yeah, it was
so
just
funny.
yeah, just like, let's see how many
Yeah.
times we could twist each other or have holes but the whole it was just so comedically done
Yeah.
you really couldn't take it seriously. This
Yeah.
is like, okay, there's going to be holes created in bodies so that one body can come out
Yeah.
and whatnot, but you get the whole blood and guts with it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be a very interesting to see how that lays out.
Different tone, I understand, but, I think that the point is the same.
No, it's
Older,
very, very astute. I didn't
right?
even think of
Uh,
depth of
uh,
culture. Yeah, so very, very good. But if you're going to go ahead and check out the substance, again, limited release now, but also coming up, it is going to be expanded to a wider audience. I think you're going to hear a lot about at least Demi Moore's performance come Oscar time. So
yeah.
please let us know your thoughts if you're going to catch the substance, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Well, we've got about 8-ish minutes left, but wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts because this ages me even more. 25 years ago. We're seeing all these 1999 films, Galaxy Quest and some other
Yeah.
films
Yeah.
get acknowledged for their 25th anniversary. And the thing that always I forget about is in September of 1999, a little movie called The Matrix was born. And I'm like, this wasn't put out in the summer. This wasn't put out in the spring. But this was still a big hit. So September is not usually known for a lot of big hits, although we're seeing it with Beetlejuice. Your thoughts on The Matrix as it hits 25? It hasn't actually been followed by a whole lot of greatness, but dang, it sure the original was the thing that it leans on and makes it absolutely fantastic.
I don't think that people who were born after 2000 will ever truly understand how much of an impact that Matrix movie had on popular culture and
Mhm.
how much it just shoved special effects forward. It was an incredible leap, I think, for a lot of that stuff. I think, and please, I don't tweet at me or X at me. I guess is that what you do now?
I don't
Anyway, I don't know either. But like I feel like The Matrix coming out in 1999 was the equivalent to when the first Star Wars movie dropped in terms of the special effects uh advancement that was made and the
Yeah, not
impact
not
that
the
it had on
overall
popular.
success, even though it was a hit, but yes,
Right.
the special effects, what it did to the industry, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
and what it did for popular culture too. I mean, I feel like both of those movies are comparable in that way. Not really in any other way, but just in terms of, they dropped and it was an immediate impact and it was felt right away. All of a sudden everybody was doing bullet time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden that kind of stuff was in every single movie. And if it wasn't, you were very upset. Because they weren't showing you the cool stuff that you now know is possible. So the to say that this movie 25 years later and looking back on it, I don't think at the time we were appreciating um what was happening as the movie was growing in success, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think now 25 years later we look back and we're like, yeah, that was something. That was pretty special to be part of. Because I mean, that was in the movie theater, back when, people that was still, affordable. You remember that time? Um,
I barely remember it, yes.
right? Yeah. But no, I think that you cannot undersell the impact of the Matrix over the last 25 years. I don't think you can undersell it. I think that, Keanu has always been a star, but I mean, it very clearly launched him into superstardom. And he has stayed humble, which is another thing that we love that we've gotten from the Matrix movies. Everybody has their Keanu. Um, yeah. It's all good stuff. It's all good. It's all good member berries. Talking of nostalgia.
I will tell you what, I agree with you on all your assessments,
Yeah.
based on what we've seen since then. And The Matrix helped redefine how to create the movie experience. And
Yeah.
we were so fascinated by the technology at that time. Yes, it was bullet time that was done to death later on, but
Yeah.
that doesn't take away from the original. And the
No.
fact is that it told a good story, and it
Yes.
got you into a world that you really want to be a part of. And yes, I know the Wachowskis, they created two movies afterwards, which, although they did well financially, weren't as well received. Uh, and maybe in hindsight, I wouldn't have released two in the same year. Maybe, a
Yeah.
couple of other tweaks. That long monologuing, uh, yeah, with the creator and all that. Yeah, that kind of
Right.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's true. There were a few things.
yeah.
You're right.
The 500 Mr. Smiths. Yeah, that the technology in some ways was advanced by the Matrix, but its sequels, weren't helped out by the technology of the early
Right.
2000s, because it wasn't quite as good yet, or you couldn't pull off certain things that they wanted
Yeah.
to do in those successive movies. The Animatrix, that was a good little anthology series. Enter the Matrix video game, The Matrix Online. Uh, we even talk about the Matrix Revelations? Yeah, we actually, if you listen to the ad, that tells you all you need to know about that, as far as the one ad I cut with
Yeah.
Melinda and I on it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
We
just
don't
leave it
need
at
to.
that.
Yep.
But
We don't need to do that.
last question to ask you before we head on out is: the
Yes.
Matrix, there's a possibility they could be returning to the Matrix universe even after the failure of Revelations. Good idea or no?
You know what? Give me a movie that you intend to write well, and maybe I'll give you more of my money. Because that movie felt like it was a joke that was written and done badly on purpose. And I mean, we should all be infuriated by that. How
I
dare
was.
you? How dare you? The audacity to do that to the people who have been waiting for this movie. The audacity. Anyway, you know, you're going to have to show me a little bit more of the movie than a trailer. I need multiple trailers, and I need at least the first 5 minutes of the film, and then I'll decide.
We'll see what happens, but it could be a very good possibility we could be returning to the world of the Matrix. That's based off the initial success and what the foundation was laid 25 years ago
Mm.
with the Matrix. But if you have thoughts and memories on the Matrix, please let us know in the comments below, or popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, it's a great episode. Again, if you can, please see Blue-Eyed Samurai, please see Shogun, and please see The Substance if you're out there. Any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Man, oh man, we're on hiatus for at least another 3 weeks from all of our podcasts. So um, I don't really have a whole lot to update you on there, but we do have some ideas for a couple of new shows. I'm very excited because I have found a group of girls that are going to come over to the house. We're going to have an all-female table again, which I love to have. It's such a different vibe. It's such a different experience. I love it so much. And I'm just even excited to get back to that. And we're going to try Defiant. Finally. Been talking about that on the show for, I think, years now at this point. And I think I finally found a group of players who are going to be able to pull it off. So I'm really, really excited about it. We've got big plans. And of course, we're going to get back to regularly publishing those Vampires and Vitae episodes and Wizards and Wine episodes, because things have gotten a little wild with Vampires and Vitae. And well, they've gotten a little sticky, I suppose, is the way to look at it, with with Wizards and Wine. So
Ooh,
interesting stuff happening.
interesting stuff indeed. But for Melinda Barkhouse-Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.